This is Professor MoneyPigTrading, a former AI researcher, now a data scientist and trader. Today we're going to talk about US stock. Ticker name is TSM, Taiwan Semi. And it's an annual bullish cycle coming. And if you're not familiar with TSM, Taiwan Semi, it's basically the chip manufacturer leadership in the world, together with Samsung. They actually produce all kinds of high-end chips that are being used in our laptops, our iPhone, etc. And because the chip demand is so high, the chip price continue to go up. It's actually improving the whole sector revenues. And currently, its annual bullish cycle is coming, and potentially we're going to see at least 12% of rally. So let's take a look. If you haven't liked this video, make sure to like it. That will help our YouTube channel tremendously. If you're in North America interested in our Discord community, feel free to check out at www.moneypigtrading.com. Our Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, or MoneyPigTrading. Feel free to follow and get the latest contents. So let's take a look at the long-term and fundamental for Taiwan Semi. It has a really amazing financial reports. On the left side is a chart for its revenue from 2016 and project into 2023. You can see this is basically what we want to see in a growth stock. This revenue basically growing up exponentially. 2017 to 2020 is kind of in the range between 30,000, $25 billion to about $38 billion. And this year, like we mentioned, the chip price continued to rocket. So in 2021, their revenue is actually jumping to about $43 billion. Right now, based on the current projection, we're believing 2022 and 2023 will reach about 58 to about $63 billion in the next 2 years. And that's what we definitely want to see. One thing that has been criticized for the TSM's business model is it actually requires a lot of capital to build all those new chip factories. And because of that, their margins is relatively lower. And one of the key metrics to look at margins, look at the earning per share, which is on the chart on the right side, the EPS is basically dollar per share. You can see in 2018 to 2020 is margins usually stay around $2 per share. 2021 started to jump a little bit to 3-ish. And right now, based on the current guidance and projection, their margin will continue to improve to $4 and about $4.9 in 2022 and 2023 respectively. And because of this low margin issue, Taiwan Semi kind of changes its business model because the chip is in high demand, right? So this week, actually really big news in the sector is Taiwan Semi decided to follow UMC to raise its product price by 20% this week, and that actually might help the low margin issue. And because of this price increase, potentially Taiwan Semi's revenue and EPS will increase. And the current number in these two charts are estimated based on the product price before the 20% price increase. However, we're not sure if this 20% price increase will be applied to all their customers. So maybe there's some customers who have bigger orders, and then they might not, apply any increase or just slightly lower increase than 20%. So we really need to see in the next quarterly report from TSM to see how this potential increase improve their guidance and their revenues and EPS. But definitely should improve all the metrics this year. On the other hand, it's actually going to affect a lot of IC designer, which traditionally has higher margins, but now because the chip producer increased the price, the IC designer margin is actually going to drop. So some people are asking about like, hey, can we, because if the semiconductor cycle is coming up at the end of each year, because of the iPhone demand, should we just invest in some ETF like SMH or some other semiconductor ETF? My humble opinion is TSM and some other semi-equipment provider like AMAT, Lam Research, LRCX, and ASML and also together with Taiwan Semi, will probably outperform SMH and other semi-ETF later this year. But next year, they will continue to go up, and we'll discuss in the next few videos. And Taiwan Semi actually has a pretty bullish cycle upcoming. It's really suitable for swing trader. In the past 9 out of 10 years, Taiwan Semi actually moves out on average 12.77% between August 22nd and November 7th. So let's take a look at the daily chart. This is the Taiwan Semi daily chart in 2021. It dropped from the all-time high, 142 in February, all the way to 107. And it has been sideways, the range bound since March this year, between 107 to about 127. And just on August 24, it actually dipped down to 107, which is a long-term support and never been broken down below that level, and started to bounce back, especially because of the price increase news that we just discussed. Right now it's traded around 118, and definitely because of Bullish Cycle and the increased iPhone demand. Originally, the market is expecting the new iPhone order is around 950 million new phones, and now is 95 million new phones, and now has been increased to 100 million new phones. That means Apple is expecting a pretty good iPhone sales, and Taiwan Semi is going to produce all the chips for all this iPhone starting August this year all the way to December. So personally, I'm expecting an even more bullish cycle for this, more bullish price action for this bullish cycle for Taiwan Semi. And of course, you might have said, okay, the tapering is coming. Shouldn't the stock market react to the downside? Basically, I would say the answer is no, because what happened is when the taper happened back to 2013, we can see on August 21st, 2013, the Taiwan Semi actually, that's right before the annual Jackson Hole meeting in 2013, where they mentioned September we're going to taper. And the taper actually only happened at the end of that year, 2013, in December. You can see even though after that Jackson Hole meeting, the taper news coming up, the stock price, basically the whole market, we're going to mention in the next video, the link will be on the upper right corner, the whole market just continued to rally, including Taiwan Semi, because this bullish cycle just coming. And you can see rally from 15.7 to all the way to 19.5 in that September, and it will actually run up about 22%. So tapering is actually not going to put down the market. Instead, tapering is actually relieve the market worriness about the interest rate increase, which will really hit a lot of growth stocks. But instead, release that worriness, and the growth stock continue to rally in 2013 and 14, and finally drop and pull back in 2015. And so the other thing about tapering is US dollar price will continue to go up, and money will come back to the US markets. So that's actually going to help a lot of US stocks, including the Taiwan Semi ADR listing in the US exchange. The other thing we notice why we believe this bullish cycle started back to August 24 is using our partner's platform, Flow. I actually provide a real-time option flow. You can see on August 24 when Taiwan Semi dipped back to 107, the institute started to buy the loan call options. With the expiration on September 17, the strike price is ranging from 113 to 119, with in total about $850,000. That's a pretty decent amount. And using that platform, we're kind of convinced that institutes are also joining this bullish cycle. And that's why we also entered a position. We actually entered a position a few days earlier. And this will really help our trading, because you can get a real-time institute money movement, the money flow. So if you want to try it out, we actually have a link down below. It will make it as 3 weeks trial as cheap as $25, and regular price is $149. If you want to try it, feel free to check down the link down below. And the other one thing we want to mention is last year, all the seasonality kind of messed up because of COVID. iPhone was delayed, and not until October, Apple started to confirm, like, yeah, we're going to release new iPhone. So Taiwan Semi also had a bullish cycle last year, actually running rally all the way to June and sideways all the way until mid-October, late September, early October, and started rally all the way to January to all-time high 142 because the new iPhone is confirmed, and also Taiwan Semi actually produced the chips for iPhone. So just one thing I want to mention, and because of all the factors we mentioned, I believe the bullish cycle, the fundamental factors, and institutes are coming, we actually started to enter Taiwan Semi for our stock trading long-term investment program on August 20th, 2021 in our Discord community. Our average entry price is around 109 in this batch. And on the option-based swing trading program, we also enter November 19, 115 call on the long side. And so far has made more than 100% of profits, easy, cheesy, pretty nice profits. Yeah, pretty nice. And basically what we mentioned earlier about SMH, the ETF, why we think the long term is also a good investment option like Taiwan Semi, TSM, it's because the semiconductor industry revenue will continue to go up from here. You can see in the past about 30 years, the Taiwan Semi or any other semiconductor name continue to go pretty much like linearly or kind of exponentially going up. because the demand on semiconductor continued to increase. The era 1 is from the mainframe, which is kind of old computer clusters. And then the era 2, starting from the 1990s to the mid-2005, is the PC and internet demand, and that kind of increase in semiconductor needs. And then the stage 3 is the current stage, is the iPhone and all the Android phones. I'm sorry, I just hit the microphone. All the mobile demands that kind of increase the semiconductor demand. In the past 10 years, has have a very clear bullish cycle because iPhone always releases new iPhone in September, right? Most of the time. And the only year that Taiwan Semi drops because Apple actually have some turbulence in 2018, and that year Taiwan Semi and Apple together both sink in the so-called quotation mark bullish cycle in September. And now the new era is coming, the era for AI and cloud computing. Basically in this era, we're seeing more automation, robotics, EV self-driving, cloud computings, all the kind of stuff will require even more chips than before. And the whole semiconductor revenue, based on the institute, their revenue are projected into become $1 trillion in 2030. That's almost double from the $466 billion of revenue in 2018. So all this stock will eventually, if nothing goes wrong, will eventually go up. And we actually was going to show this video just to show you that robotics actually on the rise. This is Boston Dynamic. And look at their robots, right? Before their robots are wired when they make videos. Now their data transmission and the power source are all independent, and now they're very flexible, be able to make all this amazing maneuver and actions. I humbly believe in 5 and 10 years, not only we're going to see those robots in military uses, but also we're going to see in our daily life everywhere. And all these robots also require a hell of a lot of chips, and that will definitely help a lot of chip makers like Taiwan Semi, Samsung, and other like UMC, which is also a lower, level of a chip maker. Look at those robots, right? How beautiful they can move now. Amazing. Jeez. Yay, you make it. Anyway, so next slide, we just want to highlight some risk for Taiwan Semi, especially if you're a long-term investor. One thing definitely want to mention is the geopolitical risk, especially most of the Taiwan Semi manufacturers are based in Taiwan, and the relationship between China and Taiwan can be a risk for Taiwan Semi. The other thing I want to highlight, not a lot of people mention about it, is the drought risks on Taiwan Semi. So this year we're seeing a pretty significant La Nina, which is kind of global warming or kind of related, not scientifically proved. Probably we still need about 5 years to prove the relationship between global warming and La Nina. But basically what happened for La Nina is after, what happens, the North Pole, the ice melt more than usual, and a lot of cold ocean water actually come down from the Canada and US West Coast and then flow all the way to the Central Pacific. And what happened is, if that happened, is all the warm water will happen accumulated in the East Pacific. And if that happens, that will cause the monsoon to be delayed, and it's what we have seen this year in Taiwan, where the drought was so bad before the monsoon and after the typical monsoon season between March to June. And then all of a sudden, a super heavy participation happened. Taiwan all of a sudden had a really bad flood. And not only in Taiwan, but also in China, Zhengzhou, you probably see in video, millions of people got really huge flood because of this La Nina. A huge amount of warm water, ocean water caused a huge amount of rains. And when La Nina happened, it will also make the Pacific Southwest in US extremely drought. And that's one of the reasons we're seeing a really bad drought in Colorado River right now, which supply the water sources to the Phoenix, which is also the future Taiwan Semi factory location. So if La Nina happened this year, usually it might happen in the next 2 to 3 years, especially the global warming is getting worse. And I forgot to put the slide. The solar cycle is actually coming. The solar spot is increasing. That means the solar intensity will increase in the next 10 years. And this year, July is the hottest July ever in the human history. And right now we're just the solar cycles on the rise. That means the next 10 years we're probably going to see a hotter and hotter July, causing La Nina potentially to become worse. And then the Taiwan Semi factory location might have significant drought between February to June. That can make some production hold and cause their revenue to decline. That's the thing you might want to keep an eye on. I wouldn't say have to necessarily extremely worried right now, but just need to keep an eye on it. And this is just a flight. I fly back from Canada to California about 2 weeks ago, and the wildfires all over the British Columbia in Canada. I just want to highlight that because of this La Nina and global warming, it's making wildfire extremely excessive. 490 wildfire in British Columbia when I was there. Look at it, it's very bizarrely pretty, but it's, on the other hand, to think about it, is really bad. The wildfire is just everywhere. The smoke covered the whole mountain ranges. So please protect your earth, do recycle. We only have one earth. At the end, just want to highlight one of our members joined within 1 month. His account grew about $2,200 to about $12,000, 540% increase using our option-based swing trading program. For long-term investment, we have a very robust program in our Discord community. Average return per trade this year in 2021 is 20.4%. The winning rate is about 74.5%. So pretty decent. If you're interested in Discord community, feel free to check out on www.moneypigtrading.com. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, or MoneyPigTrading, feel free to follow.